Hi, my name is Derrick, and am I audible? Like you can properly hear me?
Yes, yes.
Yes, we can hear.
Nice, nice. Cool. Thank you so much for the nice intro. My name is Derrick, so I'll share my screen now so that we could. Okay, audience. Um, can you see my screen?
Not yet.
Yes.
Hey, you guys can see. Okay, okay, okay. Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I can see. Sorry, I had to guess.
Yes, I
Okay.
can see.
What do you see? What do you see on the screen?
What to do before you land your
What to do before you land your first job?
Okay, okay. It's weird that I can't see it on my end, but once you guys can see it, that's cool. Um, okay. Let me. All right, cool. So once you guys can see, that's cool. That's cool. All right, nice. What do you see now?
You had a strong foundation.
Okay, all right, cool. I'm still surprised. I can't see it on my end, but that's fine. So I'll do a very short introduction. Ben has already done a long introduction. Right. So my name is Derrick. I'm a product designer with Yellow Card. Um, so what's so I explain what a product designer is. It's basically I design software, right? So before the software gets into your hand, someone has to design it, right? That's what I do, and I've been doing this for some time now. But before I got into that, I was doing a lot of other stuff in design since 2013, right? So since 2013 to now, I've been doing a lot of different types of design. And yeah, I mean, I've got into new jobs a couple of times, so I think I'll share my experience and stuff you do before you land before you land a new role, right? And some of the things I'll be saying will be from the tech side of things. So if you have a question about something I've not mentioned, you can drop it in the chat as usual. Right. So product design, I do a bit of engineering. I've worked with companies like Haptel, ECG, Yellow Card, and stuff. So yeah, if you have any questions, just let me know because most of it will be from my experience. Right. So let's get into it. Right. So I'd assume all of you are still yet to get into your first role, either your first role ever or your first role like after school or something, right? So either way, you still have to do a bit of preparation before you get into your first role. And I've interviewed a couple of people, and I've realized similar mistakes happen across board, right? Similar mistakes happen across board. Some people are not prepared. There's sometimes that some people don't even know the job they are applying for or that they are interviewing for. Can you imagine? Like somebody comes to an interview and then you ask them the job that they applied for and they can't even tell you, right? So I'll share some of the things I've learned from experience and cool. So I mean, before we start anything, right, we would have to build strong foundation. Yeah. So what you'd have to first understand the type of job that you need or that the type of job you are looking for, right? If you want to do something related to tech, you need to understand some of the basic things in that field, right? Some of the core skills that you need. If you want to get straight into um the government role, you also need to understand what are some of the things they need, right? It's not that, oh, some uncle somewhere. No, those are not the core skills. Some of the what are the core skills that you need? If say you want to do something like auditing, you need to understand what it takes to get into that particular field, right? Coming to the tech field, for instance, if you say you want to be a software engineer, you need to know some basic things, some basic HTML, CSS. You need to know things that would sustain you within that role, right? And once you develop those skills, it puts you in a much better position than people who are about to start. So I'd assume a group of like multiple groups of people within this team or this group right here. People who have already started building their core skills, people who have not started at all, and people who really don't know what core skills to start with. Right. So the first team that have already started working on their core skills, you are little bit ahead, right? Because now you don't have to start all over, you don't have to start all over and start building core skills that you want to get a job of or get a job with, right? You are far ahead. You now have to fine tune to that particular role that you are looking for, right? And then start applying to several roles because you've already understood that, okay, you can start with X, Y, and Z, right? Then for the people who are yet to start like developing their core skill, at least you know what you want to do. And then what you need to do now is to look for people within that particular role and then you can speak to them, right? What type of person succeeds in this particular role? If I heard the last speaker talk about the sales field, you can ask, okay, what particular type of person succeeds in the sales role, right? If I join the sales team, how can I become the best salesperson? Right. You don't just go there and so because I helped my mom sell orange when I was 5 years old, I'll be good for that role. Right. You need to talk to the people who are within that role. How do I become the best salesperson? How do I mature within this role? How do I grow? How do I the people who were promoted or what did you do to get promoted? You need to now learn all those things as part of the skill or as part of the actual selling part in order to grow within that particular role. Right. Stay updated with industry trends. Right. I gave an example of you selling orange with your mom when you're 5 years old. That might have been good experience some 10 years ago. But then right now, you need to learn some new things in order to be able to sell to the current generation. Right. So now look at how social media has changed from say 5 years ago to now. Social media used to be just, oh, you are going to church, then you tag, you take a picture of yourself and you post it like Kojo Menu and then 22 others or Kojo Menu and 23 others. Right. But right now, social media has changed a little bit from there. Now to people giving more of their opinion, people selling stuff more, people sharing what is going on in their life more than they did when it was 5 years ago, right? So now I need to understand what the industry trends are and stay updated with them. That way, you become more attractive to companies that are looking for people to join them, right? Then the last one, the pursue relevant certifications, right? This can be outside the normal educational institutions. It could be an online course that you took, right? It could be a 1 minute, a 1 hour video you watched. It doesn't have to be necessarily paid, right? But there are things that would broaden your horizon. There are things that will give you deeper understanding into the things that you want to do, into the career you want to build, into the job that you're trying to apply to, right? Doing these things give you a whole different perspective. Imagine you go into an interview and you all you know are the things that you were taught in a Ghanaian context, right? And then you enter an interview and ask something that requires understanding of the global context or understanding of more wider range of things. If you've not done that reading or you've not done that or you don't have that understanding for a global audience, you'll be found wanting because until you read or until you dig deeper into things, you won't have the understanding that people have into the global context, right? Another thing, this is there a question or it's an accident?
An accident. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. All right. So for the people who want to pursue something related to tech, right? For the people who want to go into the tech field, there's something that is very important. That is your portfolio. So a portfolio is basically a collection of your work, a collection of work, and it's basically something to let whoever is hiring you know that you can do the job or know that whatever is on your CV is true, right? So if you're hiring for, say, a graphic designer position and then you don't have a portfolio to show the previous graphic design work that you've done, it doesn't matter how long your CV is. If you don't show what you can do, what you've done in the past, people are really not going to take you serious, right? And this, especially, I'm talking especially for the tech field, right? So, say your CV is 200 pages long. I'm not sure there's somebody's CV is 200 pages long, but then say your CV is 200 pages long, and then you want to apply for a graphic designer position or an engineering position, and then you're like, okay, what are some of the things that you've done in the past, and you're not able to show something like that, you'll be found wanting, right? So unlike other fields where maybe your CV might be enough, and then you need to go into an interview and then talk about yourself, for a lot of the tech roles, you would have to send your portfolio, and then your portfolio is what will even give you a better chance than your CV, because we've seen that people can lie on their CV, right? But then you can hardly lie on your portfolio, because if you tell me you've built an app for a bank, and then I now ask you, okay, walk me through how you built it, and you're not able to tell me, I can catch you easily, right? So if you want to start a career in the tech field, this is something that should be in your mind. Start creating a portfolio, showcasing your best work, right? At the end, I can show you my portfolio to see some of the things I used to, yeah, some of the things I show recruiters, and yeah, you can, if it's something you're interested in, you can also like take a cue from that, right? So highlight your problem solving skills. There's another thing that people don't realize when getting into a job interview or applying for a role. When I'll use the sales example again. When you are hired to the sales role, they expect you to come with an understanding of how to navigate complexity, right? You are not just coming there to hold a flyer and shout, yes, 5 cities, yes, 5 cities. But you are there to think about how to improve the the usage of the product, how to get more people to sign up to the product, how to do this, how to not necessarily just doing one particular thing that's the selling. You end up solving a whole lot of issues about how to get people interested in you, how to not let somebody run away when they see you coming. Right. Same thing with the design. Same thing with, let me use product design now. Same with product design. You are not just being hired to come and open your software and then design something. Right. You are not just being called to come and show some screens and all that. You are called to solve problems, right? Problem solving skills. If somebody is delaying your work, let's say you need approval from somebody, and then the person is now delaying with the approval, it's going to affect you. So how do you solve that particular problem? Right? How do you go to that person and have a tough conversation with that person? That's part of problem solving skills, right? Imagine you have a situation where you are looking for information, you can't find that information, and you don't know where to go to. How do you solve that particular problem? All those things are things that we look out for when hiring somebody on your team, not just the work that you are coming to do, but how you can solve problems that come with that particular work, right? How, so I've seen a situation where someone was interviewing for a role, right? The person was interviewing for the job was in the US, and the person was interviewing, and then the person had doomsday, right? So the person had doomsday, the internet went out, the person's laptop went out because it was plug and play. Now, if if I wanted to hire you, right now, okay, now the person wasn't able to join the call again, right? The person sent an email later that, oh, I had doomsday, this, and this. Now, if I want to hire you, yes, and then we get on a call, you have doomsday, all right, and then you're not able to find a way to get back on the call, that tells me a lot about you. Do you understand? That tells me that, okay, you weren't prepared for emergencies. That means you didn't have any backup. That means what if you go onto the field and then you have an issue, you not be able to like solve that problem in a twinkling of an eye. There are some things that we do in interviews that completely throw off interviewers. Right? You get into an interview and then you are asked a simple question, a simple. I've seen an interview where someone was asked a riddle. Right? Right. I'm not saying you should before you go into an interview, go and do revision on all riddles in the world, right? But then there are some things that you encounter as you are going into an interview that tell the interviewer whether or not you have good or good enough problem solving skills, right? Whether or not you have good like problem solving skills. So pay attention, like everything once you enter the room, or if you are having the interview on like online, once you enter the room, once you join the call, everything you do or anything you do of can either increase your chances of getting a job or reduce your chances. And a popular question that I like to ask is, what's the most difficult problem you've solved? Right. Can I get a volunteer to answer this question for me? If I'll count to 10. If I don't get anybody, I'll continue. What's the most difficult problem you've solved and how do you solve it? That's a common question I like to ask.
Oh,
Would I get a
all out names for you, don't worry.
I should go, you have names.
Yeah, I have friends. But all of them they are my good friends. Monica, please go ahead.
Monica, you've been surrendered.
Like Monica,
Hey,
yes, go ahead.
Yeah. What's the most difficult question? What's the most difficult problem you've solved and how did you solve it?
hello.
Hello, we can hear you, Monica.
Hmm. Okay, so um, okay, I tried developing an application for um exams for students to use it to write exams. So let me say for university in conducting examination.
Mhm.
I'm another volunteer. Oman, go ahead.
But Monica has internet issues.
Probably. Or let me just.
Okay,
Hi,
okay.
hi.
Hi.
My name is Oman.
I like the film. I like the film.
Hi. Okay, so I recall before I think some months into my national service era,
Mhm.
I think we just ended it. So there was this woman we used to visit a customer, and then whenever we go there,
Mhm.
I think she had a history of not buying some of our products all the time. When we go, the van salesman tries to sell, she doesn't buy and all that. So it happened for like about 2 months. And then one day I sat her down, discussed business, the profit story of the product, why she should buy and all that. And suddenly she bought it. And it was really nice experience. Thank you.
Nice. So now, how you can tell that story for it to be more interesting to somebody is you start with the problem, right? Now, the problem was what? She wasn't buying. Yes.
Yes.
The problem was she doesn't. Good. So now, did you have any other clients that had that same problem?
No. We had other clients who were, you know, they would be like, okay, next week I'll buy. You
Mhm.
understand? But for her, she didn't make up her mind to buy at all. She wasn't part of the plan.
So now, after you realize the problem, how did you come about the solution? What compelled you to say, okay, today I'm going to sit with her and talk about it?
So it was a gradual process. I had to learn
Mhm.
how to how to convince her from my an experienced person.
Mhm.
So I told the person this is the challenge I was facing. So how do I go about it? And I was like, okay, this is what you have to do. This is what you have to do. And then I did it, and then it went through. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So now what you've shown me is that you know how to look for the information you need when you need it because you went to somebody who was more experienced and then you asked them. Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Good. So now I know that you know how to navigate uncertainty, right? You know how to look for the right information where you need it or at the points where you need it, right? And this tells me if you encounter similar situations, you won't be sitting there scratching your head, but then you know at the point where you have to go and ask somebody who is either ahead of you or more senior to you. You understand? So and everybody has solved a difficult problem before. No one here can tell me since you were born you've not solved a difficult problem before. Right. So if you're asked for a difficult problem, like what's the most difficult problem you solve, start with the problem. Like exactly what Oman did. Start with the problem. The point where you realize that, okay, this is the solution I can make to this problem. How did you arrive at that solution? And then how you solve that particular problem. For his case, he went to his superior or somebody who was ahead of him, asked the person, okay, this, then this. The person gave their solution, and then he went to speak to the person. Oman went to speak to the particular client, and now it resulted in a sale or resulted in a client buying something. Right. So there's some tricky questions, and this is not a really tricky question for an interview. I mean, it's a normal question, right? But then these are some of the things that you would encounter when you are applying to a role like that. The fact that you're applying for, say, a software engineer doesn't mean they'll ask you all about code when you get into an interview. Somebody might even ask you. I remember I was asked what was the biggest risk I have taken in my life. Right. And you might ask, okay, what's the importance of that question? Well, some of the questions don't really need importance. Some of them just need to get you. They just want to know if you are an actual person outside work, right? So if there are some companies too that when you go there or when you join them and then you don't have an a life outside work, a lot of those companies don't really like you because they want people who have a life outside work, who can bring a personality into their team. Right. We'll talk about that in let me not get ahead of myself. We'll talk about that in soft skills. Right. So yeah, that's for portfolio. So if you want to get people to believe whatever you have on your CV, right, all these things will be in your portfolio. Right. Because all is it all? Yeah, almost all the jobs I've had, I've not had to share my portfolio. Only I think one or two that I've had to, I have to share my CV. Almost, yeah, in all the jobs that I have, I only had to share my CV once or twice. The rest of them I had by just sharing my portfolio. People just seeing what I've done before, and then they reaching out to me and not even checking what my CV has. So if tech is something you want to do, you need to pay a lot of attention to the things you can do, right? Because at the end of the day, people don't really care, right? In some sectors they might care, but then I'm talking strictly from where I have experience in. A lot of the time, people don't really care how long the number of pages is, but then it's more of what you can do. And then now that they've seen that, okay, Benjamin can do X, Y, and Z, nice. Now, Benjamin, what else can you do? Then now they go and refer to, okay, this, and this on your CV, right? So pay a lot of attention to create a company CV. Another thing is gain practical experience, right? Through internships, freelance projects, and personal projects. The first one, internships, right? At this point, I would have expected you to have a couple of internships under your belt because it's yeah. I've encountered people, or I know a lot of people who don't want to do free work, right? But then if you get the chance to do some free work and you don't really need the money like that, you can accept it, right? I saw somebody ask earlier that should money be your focus, especially in these times. It's a bit important to have money like on you as your focus, but then in times where you are growing, in times where you're trying to build your skill, money can be secondary, right? Money can be secondary in the times where you want to build your skill because it compounds. When your skill is at a high level, people will be chasing you with money. When your skill is at a level that a lot of people are not your mate, people will be chasing with money, right? When I was starting out in design, I was doing a lot of free work, right? I was doing people's flyers for free. I was doing um, people's WhatsApp when WhatsApp came first, WhatsApp DPs and things. Right now, people even create groups. They don't add WhatsApp DP to their group. But when WhatsApp came to first, like at the early stage of WhatsApp, people were very keen on create or on uploading their WhatsApp DPs and stuff. And I was designing those things for free. I was designing posters, book designs, a lot of those things for free. Right. And from my experience, those things exposed me to a lot because it didn't limit the number of people who I had as clients. It didn't limit the number of work that I could do because it was basically free. So anybody at all can ask me, oh, Derek, do this for me, and I do it. Derek, do this for me, and I do it. But as time went on and I started charging, people were paying because they knew what I could do. Right. And right now, there are a lot of projects I can't even take, even though people are paying me big money. I can't even take them because I have too many projects on my hand. So what I want you to know from this is it compounds. The money compounds over time. And if you are in a hurry to make all the money right now at your junior stage, you might struggle to get a lot of things that would give you experience to reach your senior stage. Right. And this is from my experience, right? I mean, yeah, everything I'm saying is from my experience. So someone might have a different experience, but what I've learned from my career is all these things compound over time. Right now, I could charge money that I couldn't charge, let's say, 10 years ago, because my skills were not at a level where I could charge that amount of money. So if you want to be a software engineer, you want to be a product designer, you want to be a graphic designer, and you have the chance to do an internship, and even if it's 500 CDs a month, right now, my brother is currently doing an internship and is being paid 800 CDs a month. Right. And I encourage him to do it. It doesn't, 800 CDs a month is not so much, but then it's the skills that matter at this point. Right. Freelance projects. It doesn't, you can, as you are doing your national service, as you are doing an internship somewhere, you can be taking freelance project on the side, something that you can be doing on the weekends. If you're a photographer, you can be covering events during the weekend just to learn some new techniques that you picked up on YouTube and the rest. Right. Personal project. If you're a developer, you can build things on yourself. Right. If you're a designer, you can design things for yourself. If you are an accountant, put out an article, put out things that you've learned. If you're an auditor, write something about a new process that you've learned about, a new thing that came out, stuff that would cause you to learn a lot more, stuff that will cause you to put in more work, to do some research. Right. Once you do all those things, sharpen your skill. Right. All those things sharpen your skill. And it doesn't have to be paid for it to benefit you. It doesn't have to be something that brings money to your pocket for it to benefit you. Right. I've had jobs before. I've had freelance project before just because of something I did in my free time, and it brought me zero money. It just brought me stress. But then along the line, it brought me gigs that I could do. Right. So when we talk about gaining practical experience, I'm not talking about just working for big companies. Not everybody wants to work for a big company. It's understandable, right? But then when I'm saying practical experience, I'm not talking about just working for a big company or just working for freelance or other thing. It can be your own personal project. It can be something that you do in the evenings, on the weekends, something that only you know about. But then it goes a long way in boosting your experience and then adding more things to your skill, right? Network and build relationships. That's another thing that you need to do before you land your first job, right? Network and build relationships. Why is this important? So, for example, you've joined this particular event, this particular webinar. I've told you some of the things I do when I'm interviewing somebody. If, let's say, next week you come into an interview and I'm the one there, I've already told you something that I'm going to ask. So you know something to expect from me. You understand? Attend industry events. These are some of the places where you'd meet recruiters, you'd meet people who are at the same learning level as you, people who have the same interest as you. Right? I've met many founders of companies who met themselves at events. Last week I was chatting with one founder from Rwanda. The company is called Fixer HR. And then he was telling me he met his co-founder in the university. They attended a similar conference or something, and they met. Right. I know other founders who have also met themselves at events, at hackathons, at seminars, at random industry events. Right. And if you sit in your house and say, "Oh, me, I'm an indoor person. I'm an introvert." Well, money and opportunity, they are not introverts, right? Money is not an introvert. Money likes to move around. Money is not an introvert. An opportunity is not an introvert. Opportunities like to move from place to place, right? So if you tell yourself that, oh, me, I like to be indoors, I don't like to in feel, how do you say it? My key is not good, so forgive me if I butcher it. Like mimpe nipa or mimpe nipa mu or something, mimpe nipa bebre, right? So if you keep on telling yourself that, the people who get up and then go for these networking stuff, people who get up and go and build relationships for themselves, they will continue to get all those opportunities because they go and build relationship, right? And when you even go for the event, don't go and sit in your corner and then be pressing your phone, right? I've seen that happen a lot of times. Don't go and sit in the corner and press. It's not a party. It's not a nightclub that I've gone to that you're bored. It's an industry event where you can network and build relationships, right? Join the professional communities. There's a professional community, right? There's a nice one that you can join to increase your chances or to learn a lot from. Engage on social media. When I say engage on social media, I'm not talking about you going to do get ready with me or you go and do things that do not matter to your career. Right? Curate your social media for for it to fit the career you want for yourself. Right? For you to fit the career you want for yourself. Right now, if I go to TikTok and I swipe, it's like 80% of my TikTok is things concerning my career. You'd see design videos, you'd see engineering videos, you'd see tech videos, like things that concern my career. That's because I've curated it to fit what I want to learn. So now if I go on social media and I'm there for 30 minutes, if I've not learned anything, I've watched at least 10, 15 videos of things that concern the work I do. Right. So, and whenever I post on social media, it's either I'm talking about my design or I'm talking about things concerning the work I do, or once in a while I talk about government stuff. So if you go to my social media, nobody would even tell you that this is the job this person does, because I've created it in such a way that it speaks about my journey, it speaks about what I want to do, and it speaks about what I'm currently doing. So if you want to be a designer and then I go to your social media and I don't see that, how would I even know to reach out to you if there's something? Right. So engage on social media, engage on if Wave Technology post on LinkedIn, you go and like it, share it to your community. They post somewhere, like it, share it to community. After this event, for instance, you finish this event, you can write an article about the things you've learned on this event, and then you can write an article about that, and then you post it on LinkedIn or post it on Twitter or Facebook somewhere, just to keep in touch with the community, so that nobody forgets that you are part of the community. Right. One thing you want to avoid is people forgetting that you are part of the community. That creates a situation where even if somebody has a job to post, they won't come to you. Right. Right now, if there's any new opportunity within the Ghanaian space, right, there's a 50% chance that it has passed through my DM. Right. Because people know me and they assume I know the right people to go to. And a lot of the time I do. Right. A lot of the time I can refer you to the proper person. Right. So put yourself in that particular position. It's not going to take one day, or it's not going to take 2 days or 1 week. It's going to take time, but then the best time to start is now. So that even if it will take 1 year to do that, it will take 1 year from now, and not if you start next year to take 2 years. Right. So attend industry events, join professional communities, engage on social media. If you join a professional community, don't just sit down. Don't just sit down and then you be reading the messages and then you are not contributing or anything. Some people will see the message in your notification, then they'll swipe it, then it goes away. Right? Don't be that kind of person. Engage in the community. If there's an event and they need volunteers, engage in it. Say, oh, I can volunteer. If they need speakers, engage. If you think you can speak on something, volunteer and then speak on it. Stuff like that gets you noticed. Right? I'll tell you a story, then we'll move to the next point. Like my current job, what I'm currently doing, right? I got the job because I spoke at an event, and then my boss was in the audience, right? So if you know Figma, Figma is a tool, is a company that produces the tool a lot of product designers use. So Figma had an event in 2022. Figma had Config 2022, where designers from all over the world meet up in San Francisco, and then there's a conference, people chat, they share ideas and all that, right? And then I spoke at the event, and after I spoke at the event, like people loved what I said, right? And then as soon as I finished, I got a message, like some 10, 15 minutes after it, I got a message on my LinkedIn, and it was this lady who was saying she loved my talk, this thing. And she, as soon as she finished, she was like, she's looking for a new designer to join her team. And she's asked me if I'm interested. I was like, oh, nice. So like, oh, I was like, oh, cool. I'm interested. Right. And I didn't have to send my CV. I didn't have to send anything. All I did was I talked at an event, and then she liked what I said. She DM'd me. We set up a call, and within 2 weeks, I had joined their team because my notice period for my for my previous company was 2 weeks. So from that time, we spoke. I didn't even do all the interview stages, and then I had a new role. I didn't have to submit anything. All I did was talk as an event. So there's no formula for how you get a job. So you need to do everything. Right. There's no formula for I can sit here and tell you do X, Y, and Z, but then somebody will do L, M, N, O, P, and the person will get a job and you will still not get. So there's actually no formula. The reason I'm telling you all this is that you would know all the things that you can do, and then you attack it on all levels. Right. And then you attack it on all levels because there's no formula. You can't just do one thing and expect it to work. Do everything. Right. Then like somebody will say looking for a job is a whole job on its own. And it's true. Right. It's very true. Yeah, develop soft skills. Before I talk about this, I just remembered something where this is not to discourage anybody, right? This is not to discourage anybody. But before I got my very first design job, right? Before I got my very first design job, I had sent about 120 something applications. Before I got my first design job. Right. That's because at that time I didn't really know a lot of these things. Right. I wasn't going to any events. I wasn't part of any community. Like I was just in my room and I was sending out all these applications. The reason why I know the number of applications I sent was because I made a friend who was in HR, right? Her name was Rejoice. She's in HR. So we became friends, and then she was advising me, and she asked me to go and count all the applications that I had sent, right, within that 1 year. So I went and I counted all the applications. There are 120 something. Hey, the way I shouted in my room, right? So because I didn't really know all these things, right? I didn't really know. So now after I counted, and then I went back to her, and then we're chatting, right? And I realized that I was doing all these things wrong. I was applying wrongly. I wasn't part of any community. So even when people post jobs, I don't see the correct jobs, right? Then it's right. I wasn't doing anything right. So when we started talking, and then she started telling me, okay, do this, do this, do this. And I realized that, hey, me didn't quite the same power. Like I, I was just applying anyhow. Right. I was just applying anyhow. So now that I found out, okay, the right thing to do, it became much easier to talk about, to like get interviews and stuff. Right. So the next point is develop soft skills: communication, collaboration, problem solving, adaptability. These things are not necessarily part of the job you are going to do, but they will help you do your job better. Right. So things like communication, right? You go to an interview and then they ask you a question, and you're not able to properly say what you want to say. You know, if you and your boss have an issue, you don't know, or you don't know how to probably talk to your boss. Some people, when they get angry, they become lions. Everybody's their enemy. Right. Some people, they once they get a little bit frustrated, they frown their face. You know, communication doesn't only have to come from your mouth. Your face also communicates, right? Some people get frustrated a little bit and they frown their face like You see how when you fold paper, when you are playing football with paper, the way when you fold it, some people frown their face like that. Right. That's all. That speaks a lot about how you communicate. Right. So when I say communication, don't only think about big English and the rest. No, your body language, how your facial expressions, your speech, all that counts for proper communication. Now, how do you talk to your colleagues? Right? Do you talk to them with respect? Do you address them as though they are human beings? Or the fact that you had a fight when you were at home, that means for that day, nobody has to talk to you in the office. Right. So one question that one question that has been asked before, like, yeah, I think I was interviewing and they asked me this question that has your boss ever disagreed with you before? And how did you handle it? Right. This was a very interesting question because yes, my at that time, yes, my boss had disagreed with me before. And I was really angry. Right. So okay, let me see if I can get somebody here to answer this question. Benjamin, can you get me another person?
Oh yes, why not? Somehow biased, but don't worry. Majority. Yeah, majority.
Marjorie.
Yeah, majority, right? Hey, sorry. Insurance number majority, na
Hey,
Oh, okay,
we-
Mark. Macapia, you are here, Mark.
Macapia. Who is Macapia? Or where is Macapia?
Macapia, I know you are here. Please go up.
Judy just laughed though. So if Mark is not here, we can use
Okay,
Judith.
Judy, please go ahead.
Yeah. Hi, Judith.
Hello, good
Hello.
evening.
Good evening. Yes. Has your boss ever disagreed with you before on something?
Yes,
And
yes,
how
please.
did you handle it?
Uh, because okay, I did an internship at Lekma Hospital when I was in level 100. It was not required, but I just wanted to learn on the job. So I went to do it. But the woman was pregnant, the RB there, she was pregnant, and when patients come, she just wants to just hurry up and just finish and so that we just go out. So once I asked her that we have a lot of categories are supposed to ask them what they take and all that, but she skips all that and just plans a meal for their people. So I was asked for the patient. So I was asking her why she does that. She got angry. I didn't know how to handle it, so I just had to stop because she was not willing to teach me anything. So I just had to stop the internship. That's what happened.
So you ran away. Did you run away?
Eventually.
Let's say that we are run away.
Judith, you ran away. Yeah, right. So some of these things they happen in the job, like in the field. Right. They happen in the field. If there are some people that they are at home, they are the only kids, their parents haven't fought against anything they've done before. As soon as they say they want this, they get everything. So nobody has opposed their idea before, right? You go to a job right now, you meet somebody like Judy's boss who doesn't want to who doesn't want to do things as you want, right? You need to know how to navigate all those things, right? A simple is that somebody's boss? That was
No.
okay. Yeah, so right, simple thing. You can quickly do a like ask yourself, like do a reflection of yourself, right? What did I do the last time somebody disagreed with me? How did I handle it? Did I get angry or I was eager to know their opinion? Right. Did I get angry or I was eager to know their opinion? If you immediately got angry, that means you are not really considering the other person's point of view. Right. If you immediately get angry, that means you're not considering the other person's point of view. But the reason why you're a teammate is because, well, you need to do things as a team. The reason why all of you are teammates is because you need to do things as a team. So ask yourself, Okay, I got angry immediately. Benjamin disagreed with me. Okay, the next time Benjamin disagrees with me, I'll ask Benjamin what he thinks or why is he disagreeing with me, and I'll try to understand from his point of view. And then if I still don't agree with his point of view, I'll tell him why I don't agree with his point of view, and then it becomes a proper conversation. But as soon as somebody tells you that, oh, this thing, they don't do it like this, and then immediately the person does that, you get angry, and then your BP starts increasing. Nobody's going to get any work done that way. Right? Collaboration, learn how to work as a team. The fact that you are the best at whatever you are doing doesn't mean you can do everything alone. Right? It doesn't mean you can do everything alone. If you do everything alone all the time, you burn out. Right? Problem solving. I spoke about problem solving in the beginning, where you can navigate complexity. Right? Where you can navigate complexity. Hey, what is the collaboration again? Yeah, I mean, when you're in a university and the lecturer gives you a project work, a group work, and one person will do all the work, and then on the day of presentation, somebody will come and say, "Oh, add my name, add my name." When you go into the job, the proper job market, those things will exist, right? Everybody needs to do their part, and if somebody doesn't do their part well, everybody will know that you didn't do your part, right? So if you were that person in university, pray for forgiveness and then repent. Right. So the next one is adaptability. This is very key. Yeah, the person is agreeing with adaptability. So adaptability is very key when you are trying to get a new job, because you are there with strangers, or you are there with strangers, you are there with people you don't know, you are there in a new environment, right? So you need to learn how to adapt quick. You need to learn how to get used to whatever situation that you are in. Right? If you get into a new job and then you greet somebody good morning and the person does chill and the person walks away, you need to know that, okay, maybe this person does not like good morning greeting. So you know that, okay, if tomorrow morning if you see the person coming, what do? You just salute the person and go your way. You don't open your mouth and say good morning. Right? Or if you did an internship that they were working 5 hours a day, and then you go to a new job and that job is working 8 hours a day, you need to get used to it. That means what? That means you need to sleep early, you need to wake up early. Maybe if you need to take coffee to work or some drink to work, and then that could last you longer because now you are moving from 5 hours to 8 hours, right? Something to get you more adjusted to whatever situation you are in. Don't go somewhere and you're like, oh, me, dear, I'm like this. Nah. If everybody wants to do, oh, me, dear, I'm this, oh, me, dear, I'm this, then nobody will get any work done in the company. Everybody needs to compromise at some point. Everybody needs to adapt to whatever situation. Right? You go to a job and you are like, oh, me, I don't like aircon. No, please turn the aircon off. But then there are 20 people in the office and there's only you who say you don't like aircon. Right? That means what? Next time you are going to the office, wear a sweater or something. Like, try it. Sometimes we need to you need to adapt to whatever situation we are in. Right? And the key thing about adapting to situations is, if you join a group and then you first adapt to the situation, and now let's say after some time you now start making suggestions, they are more likely to listen to you after you have adapted and then try to change things. They'll more likely listen to you than when, as soon as you enter the office, your first day, you're like, oh, media, I don't like this. Oh, media, I don't like this. Because at the beginning, they see you as an outsider, because you've not immerse yourself in whatever culture is there at the moment. Right. So if as soon as you enter the office, you're like, oh, me, I don't like this, I don't like this, I don't like this, I don't like this. Everybody will start hating you because they'll see you as you are judging them. But then once you enter a team, or once you join the team, try to understand what is going on. Try to adapt to whatever situation that is there. Now, when you understand what's going on, when you are now part of the culture, one day you can be like, oh, Mudi, I'm mundum nekakra. Right. At that time, they will be more likely to listen to you than your first day. Do you understand? So those are some of the things that you can do to get your voice heard. Not that as soon as you enter, you want everybody to know you are Magagia in the kingdom. Right. So cool. So let's go to the next one. Is it good for your boss to scold you in front of customers? Well, no, it's not good. No matter how, yeah, it's not good. But yeah, at the end of the day, you should also. This also um falls in line with what I'm talking about. Knowing the environment that you are in, right? If let's say you are going for the interview and then as you are talking to the person, they start shouting on one of the workers and they start insulting them in front of you, or when you go there to just in front of customers. So say, what example can I give in a corporate setting? So say you are going to apply for a job. Let's say you're applying for a secretary at a company, and you enter. As soon as you enter there, you see two people arguing, or you see the boss insulting somebody, right? That should let you know that okay, this is what is going to happen when I join these people. Right. This is what is going to happen if I join these people. And this also ties into the point I'm going to talk about right now. Research target companies, understand the company culture. So how do you do this? How do you know if your boss is going to do this in front of customers? You can ask around with people who have worked there before. Right. If you are going to join a company, say you are going to join Google, look for people who have worked at Google and then ask them, oh, what's the culture here? What's the boss like? Um, what are some of the things that you do? Like, I'm trying to join this company, right? I want to understand how you people work. Some of these things will prepare you for stuff that will happen at the company, right? If you're able to ask this question to maybe two or three people at that particular company, it will make your decision easier and to prepare you for some of the things that happen. If you ask somebody, oh, what goes on in this company, and they tell you, oh, their boss there, he likes insulting people, and then you still want to go on with it, you know that okay, one day, you will be on the chopping board and they'll be insulting you. One day. Right. So stuff like this can help you know what to prepare for. Right. But then the answer is that yeah, it's not good. Like there's no excuse for anybody to scold you in front of customers. They can do it when the customer is not around. They can call you one-on-one and tell you, okay, this thing you did is not good. And then both of you talk. But then to openly scold you, well, right. So you don't really know who you're going to get as a boss, right? Me, if you scold me in front of a customer, yeah, I would quit that day. I don't really care. But I don't know about you people, but this is me. Right. Okay, cool. So identify the potential roles within the company. This is important. Identifying potential role is very important because there are times that when companies are even hiring people, they do not post their job applications online. Right. There are times that when companies are hiring people, they don't even post their applications online. I've seen this multiple times where I have DM'd some CEOs or I've DM'd some senior people in why are you quitting that already? Yeah, I'll come and answer this question again. So I've seen multiple times where I have DM CEOs or DM senior people in the company asking them if they have certain roles open. And they told me yes. But then their websites haven't published anything. Their LinkedIn haven't posted anything. But then they are looking for people. The reason why this happens is sometimes they're looking for people they trust. So if let's say this group is a company, I'll say that, oh, I even need an extra designer to help me. So Benjamin, if you know somebody, let me know. Right. I'll not post this thing online. But then I've told people within the company. Right. So there are times that you won't even know this company is hiring until you speak to people within the company. That's why it's important when you go to my previous point about networking. That's why I go to my previous point about networking. You see that some of the
Sorry, Derek. I mistakenly muted you, so please unmute. Sorry. Hi,
okay.
Derek.
Can you
Yeah,
hear me now?
yeah.
Nice. Cool. So let's take me back to the point about network and building relationship. Because if you are not able to go to events, if you're not able to network, to talk about people, to talk to people within those companies, you won't be able to identify some potential roles in those companies because those roles are never going to be published. Right. Imagine, let's say, Benjamin runs a company. Benjamin needs an intern, right? He needs an intern very, very quickly. He needs an intern by next week. He's going to call his friends and ask them, "Oh, Charlie, I need this. Do you know somebody who needs an internship?" Right? All those things are not going online. All those things are not going to go to any job board or any WhatsApp group. They are going to go to people who are within the company. So always be talking to people within the company. Always be DMing people. The number of DMs I've sent. Last time I was checking all my DMs from LinkedIn back to 2010 or no, not 10. No. I'm not that old. Back to 2000 and maybe 19, 20 thereabouts. Right. And I was seeing all the DMs I was sending. I was very aggressive then. Right. So if you're able to reach out to all these people, you would hear of roles that are not even published, and this increases your chances because companies are also looking for people who can take the risk, people who can walk the talk, people who can hold their own career and then navigate it themselves, and then steer their own career themselves, right? Yeah, Hayford, why are you quitting? Why are you quitting that very day because of coding? Yeah, you need an environment where, or for instance, myself, I need an environment where I would grow. This is a mandate this is something that I hold very dear. I don't tolerate any disrespect. I don't tolerate any insult. I don't tolerate things that I think I won't do to you. Right. So, and I believe in my skills enough to get any job I want to get if I leave. So, yes, I expect even my bosses to, and my boss currently values me, right? And that's what I expect. And I also expect that I also value the job and all. If I get any disrespect, I won't hesitate to leave. This is my personal conviction. This is my personal conviction. I'm not saying it should be your personal. I'm not saying it's by force, it should be, but this is something you can, like, it depends on you. Like, think of what the things you want to tolerate, think of the things that you will not tolerate, and then stand on business, right? But yeah, I'm not saying anybody to go and quit their job. But this is my perspective, right? So yeah, let's do the next one. Tailor your application materials, right? Clean up your CV, optimize your LinkedIn, clean up your social media. With your CV, there are things that shouldn't be on your CV. There are things that shouldn't be on your CV. Nobody wants to know whether you are married or whether you are single. You've been single for 20 years. We don't want to know, right? Your date of birth, we don't want to know, right? Some people can disqualify you based on your age. If nobody has told you this, maybe I'm glad to be the first one to tell you. Some people can disqualify you because of your age, because some bosses link age with maturity and the rest, right? So if you are qualified for the job and then your boss is that type of person that will disqualify because of your age, you adding your date of birth there is doing you a disservice, right? When I started working, right, in 2013, how old was I? I mean, yeah, I was when I got to the university, I was like 16 when I got to the university. Then at that point, I started doing some small work here and there. So imagine somebody saw a 16-year-old trying to apply for something. The person was only, but the things are done by that age, right? So yeah, stuff like that. Don't put your date of birth on your CV, right? Nobody likes that. Then try to make sure your CV is. Maybe after this, I'll share some CV resources with Benjamin so that he shares with you guys. So make sure your CV properly describes what you want to do. Make sure it also properly describes what you are currently doing, what you've done in the past. Don't just write that, I was social media communicator for social media coordinator for Amani Kofi International Bank. Yes, good. You were social media this for them. Cool. What did you do as social media coordinator? Right. Now, all those things, you have to list them, and you can list maybe 5 points that properly describe the job you did for them in a whole. So that if somebody takes your CV and reads those 5 points, the person understands your impact in a particular company. Right. So I'll share the CV resource with Ben, and then he'll share with you guys. Then optimize your LinkedIn profile. Some of you haven't touched your LinkedIn profile since you created it. If you've touched your LinkedIn profile in the last 1 week, raise your hand and let me see. If you've touched your LinkedIn in the last 1 week, is there anybody? Nobody.
Yeah.
Okay, Maxwell. I've seen Maxwell. I've seen Emmanuel.
Monica.
Which other well again? Okay, Monica. Oman said every day.
Auku.
Here. Who is Auku?
Auku is my close friend.
And he hasn't touched it before, eh?
This guy, I don't mind him.
Auku,
You know, see, I was lost. What was the question again? Sorry.
who has touched their LinkedIn in the last 1 week?
Wow, I've not touched it in months. Oh, but I
Wow.
engage. What do you call it, on LinkedIn. Like I like posts. I react. Let me say so, right?
Yeah.
We have more
But
hands
then,
now.
yeah, I've seen the other hands.
Yeah,
Nice.
Judith and
Judith. Yeah. So, right. Engaging is nice, but then engaging does not really show what you can do. Right. Engaging does not really show what you can do. Yeah, Gloria said, even now. Hey, Gloria, so we are talking here on LinkedIn. Wow. Hey, Gloria. Yeah, so yeah, back to what I was saying. Communicate. She they post for engagement. Right. So communicate on LinkedIn. Make your presence felt. Right. Even if it's one article a month, it can go a long way to driving somebody's attention to who you really are. Even if it's one article a month, one article a week, or one article every 2 weeks, or one article a month. It gets people, oh, this person is writing about this thing. Oh, cool. Let me see what job this person does, or let me see where this person works. Right. So that when people are searching, and the thing with LinkedIn also is, if let's say I go and search for software engineer on LinkedIn, it will bring up the people who are most active first. Right. It will bring up the people who are most active first. And if you are not active, and when I search software engineer in Ghana, your face is not going to pop up. So if you are not, if you are on it and then you are not giving feedback, you are not commenting on people, you are not posting your own things, yeah, that's why I was like, even once in a month, that's cool. Even once in a while is cool. It doesn't have to be something big. It doesn't have to be something like something very formal or something very professional. It can be, oh, today I learned that a noun is the name of a person, a place, an animal. Okay, so a noun can be used in this. It can be simply what you learned. Right. So at the end of the week, you're like, okay, this week I learned how to build a web page in HTML. This is how I did it. I opened my editor. I did this. As simple as that. It doesn't have to be 1,000-word essay. Right. Stuff like that gets you part of the algorithm, so that when people are searching for stuff, your face will also pop up. Right. I've done this for a long time now. If you search for something design related on Twitter or something, my face will pop up, or LinkedIn, my face will pop up, because I've been doing it for long. Right. So just ask yourself once every week, every Friday, ask yourself, what did I learn today? Or what did I learn this week? Write down all the things you've learned. Post it. Every Friday, okay, what did I learn this week? I learned how to build a to-do app. Okay, how did I build it? I did. Then you post it. Right. One tip I'll give you, documentation is something a lot of companies, or especially foreign companies, look out for when they're hiring tech people. Documentation is very important. In Ghana or in Africa, we don't like documenting, which is very true. I'll fight anybody at any time on this. We don't like documenting. Right. We don't like documenting. That's why you can go to a company and ask them, oh, what was your sales in January? And they'll tell you, oh, meaning go to any shop. any shop in Accra and ask them, oh, what was your sales in September last year? They'll tell you, now last year I said, no, baby summit. We don't like documentation, right? So documentation sets you apart by a large margin because it shows that you are serious about what you do and then you're able to communicate what you do. Because, and a typical example would be how engineers in Africa write commit messages and how engineers in Europe write commit messages. There's a big difference. There's a big difference. Somebody writes a commit message and say, oh, implementation, then you commit. Somebody writes commit message and say changes or UI and they'll commit. Right. Right. But then you join some of these big companies, they tell you that you see how people write commits. You'll be surprised that, hey, into Jumai, am I even part? Somebody writes, I saw somebody's comments one day and I was like, hey, what is this? The person wrote the comment, the person wrote the implementation, the changes, the person wrote the features that this commit affects. The person wrote, oh, I did a test, this. I was like, wow, this is a very nice commit. Right? All those things are part of documentation. So yeah, enough on the LinkedIn part, but yeah, try it and see. Every week, write about what you learned and post it. Right. Now, prepare for the interview. As we started doing this at the beginning of the call. What about X? You can do X. I post a lot of my work on Twitter. You can do Twitter, right? I've gotten some clients too from Twitter. So yes, like everywhere. Even your Snapchat, see, everywhere. You don't know where God is going to bless you from. So throw your seeds everywhere. Right? The power of the sower. Right? The person threw the seeds everywhere. On fertile, on stone, on fruitful, everywhere. Throw the seed everywhere. You don't know which one is going to like grow your crops. Right? Yeah. So prepare for interview. Practice common interview questions. There's something we also don't do a lot. Somebody has interview tomorrow at 9 a.m. Sunday 9 p.m. or day trash. How are you going to like ace that particular interview? Right. You have an interview with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs 10 a.m. tomorrow. I'll nice. I'll prepare. I'll get into this. How you have an interview with Ministry of Foreign Affairs tomorrow, 10 a.m. 9 p.m. You're watching what was this thing? The reunion. That thing, that event, what's the name? Awukuye Suspect. You've been watching it. How do you know the name if you don't watch it?
As for Awukuye,
I should ask Ben, how do you know the name if you don't watch it? Right. So how do you prepare for your interview questions? Now, first you ask yourself the role that you are trying to do. Right. Let me do some practicals. Ben, how much time do I have left?
I think roughly have like 5 to 8. Yeah.
Okay. Let me do some practicals here. How do I? Okay. How many of you have used AI for anything like since you were born? You can raise your hand and anything. Okay, yeah, Judith, Ben. Okay, cool. Marjorie. Okay, nice. I've seen the AI people. I'll do a demo and then we would see how you can prepare. Okay. What do you see right now?
The cloudy interface.
Yeah, you see the cloud, right?
Yeah, it's cloud.
Yes, please.
Okay, nice.
Good evening, Derrick. That's what we are seeing.
Okay, nice. Good. So let me show you how you can use AI. You can do the same thing on ChatGPT too. It doesn't have to be exactly Claude, right? So this is what I do. So you can, let's say this is my CV. So I've uploaded my CV here. Have you seen? And I tell it that, say, I am applying for a senior product designer role. Help me prepare for the interview by asking me 10 questions. Right. So this is not going to like be one-to-one, but it will give you an understanding of what you can do or some of the things you should expect. Right. So now, see, can you walk me through your design process for the yellow card admin dashboard we design and how you measure the 30% faster task completion? Right. So this is something I mentioned in my CV, and now it has given me a question based on that. This is a very, very easy way for you to get sample things on your sample thing about your CV to practice your interview with. Right. This is like a very easy way to do this. And see, it has given me 10 questions. Right. Can you describe a situation where you had to manage stakeholder expectations or navigate conflict priorities? This is a question I would ask somebody in an interview. Do you see? This is a question I would ask somebody in an interview. As a senior product designer, how do you mentor junior designers and foster a culture? This is a question. This is a valid question that you can ask in an interview. Right. So for you to get sample or how to prepare for the interview, you can use something like this to give you an idea of some of the questions that would come. Right. And now how do you get other questions from people who like actual human beings? You go to people who are in the job that you want to do. So imagine you want to be a software engineer, go to other software engineers and ask them, oh, your interview, what question did they ask you? It doesn't have to be in the same company. Right. So, oh, your interview, what question did they ask you? Oh, I'm preparing for an interview. What are some of the things I should expect? So, if you add the AI responses plus whatever answers the human beings give you, you should be at least 70% prepared for whatever interview you are going to have. And then 30% of your some interview questions, you'd have to come up with the answers at that moment. Right. There are some questions you can't prepare for. Right. But then, if you're able to do this together with asking other people in their role, it should be easy for you to at least 70% preparation or even 60 if you want to be a little bit skeptical, right? But then this should like be a good start for you, right? So these are some of the ways you should use AI. I use AI a lot, right? See, if you look at I use AI a lot, right? So these are some of the things that you can do to help your own self and prepare for interviews. And with this, let's say you don't have proper answers, you can tell Claude to say, show me how to answer question 1. Right. I'm asking you to show me how to answer question 1. And then you see, it is now giving me sample answers. So now it has given me sample questions, and then it has given me a sample answer. So now I can start with this, and then this would help me answer the question better. I'm not saying read exactly what Claude is saying at your interview. You can just read all this, and then it gives you an understanding that, oh, okay, I can approach my question with this. And then it helps you even solve other questions that they might ask you at that particular interview. Right. Let's go back to our presentation. I have one slide more, and then we shall. Okay. Has it gone back to the presentation? Do you see prepare for interview? Do you see prepare for interviews? How about now?
Yes,
Yes, please, it's showing.
Nice. Cool. Hayford
All right.
said recently I used AI to get more knowledge about the interview question concerning my course. Yes, AI, it's a very powerful tool right now for people who know how to use it. If you are not using it and you are using only your brain, I use AI like an assistant. Right. So yeah. About interviews. So we are asked to choose a day for it. Does choosing a later date affect your chance of getting an offer? It depends. It depends. Choosing a later date can do two things for you. It can give you more time to prepare, and then it can also it can also reduce your chances because if better people go before you, it will skew the interview. So you have to be tactical about it. Right. You have to be tactical about it. Ask yourself, if I were to rate myself for this job, would I be on the top 10% or be in the middle somewhere? Right. If you are at the top, if you think like deep down, you have to be honest with yourself. You have to be honest with yourself about this. Don't hype yourself or anything. Be honest. If you check yourself right now, would I be top 10% or something? Am I very qualified for this job? If so, you can take a little bit of risk to maybe push it maybe a day or two, and then so that you can prepare to even make your chances higher. Right. But then the reason why I normally would like to go early is because as at right now, if somebody wants me to go in an interview at 8 o'clock, I'll be able to go because I've prepared myself for anything at all. So, what I advise with this, if you are not so sure about your skill, about your interview performance and all, you can choose to do at a later date because that will give you a better chance to prepare and all that. But then if you think you are good, if you believe yourself, you are the best engineer in the whole VRC, you can at least get it out of the way, right? So it's two things. Try assess yourself and see if you are highly qualified for the role. If yes, do some preparation. Even if it's one day, you can push it 1 day or 2 days and then do the interview. But then if you think you need more time to prepare and they are asking you to choose your dates, feel free and choose a reasonable day, maybe 3 days, 4 days, or 5 days. That would give you the time. Yeah, Friday, Saturday. Yeah, Charlie. So yeah, all this, like I said in the beginning, there's no formula for this thing. You can choose to do yours at midnight surf, and then you'll be playing alpha hour in the background if you are not qualified for the job, right? Or if you are not prepared enough. So the main thing is, how long do you think you can take to prepare for that particular interview? Do you understand? So that's the main question to ask yourself. How long do you think you need to prepare for the interview? If you can do the interview tomorrow, do it. If you can do it next week, you should know the risk that you are taking. Right? Maybe they will find somebody and they'll block all the interviews. Right? That's why you should always be in like an interview mindset. You should be ready to answer any question about your career. Right? If right now I see I have a job opening for a software engineer right now, let's do the interview right now. How many of you can confidently do the interview? Let me see your hand. How many of you can confidently do the interview? If I say I have a software engineering role right now and I need you to do an interview right now, let me see your hand. Hey, nobody. Auku.
Who run away from programming? Not now. Since level
Hey.
100.
No. No.
And Derrick, when Coca say yes, now maybe some forget him. LinkedIn grad and I get him.
I'll
Derrick, Monica is
Yeah.
available or Judith?
Monica is available.
Yeah, Monica or Judith. Oh, hey, no, Judith said she said this.
Right. So you always need to put yourself in that mood, right? So from today, like just don't wait till you have an interview before you start practicing for an interview. Don't wait for that at all. So that if tomorrow somebody calls you that, hey, Charlie, menya job you, the interview is at 1 p.m. Come to Accra Central right now. It's not now that I come to say, oh, menya me CV, oh, menya this, oh, this. Nah. You always need to put yourself in a point where nobody can give an excuse for not giving you an opportunity. right? So if I want to give you an opportunity right now, don't give me an excuse. Don't let me think of an excuse. Don't let me say that, oh, this person already, then I'll go away. No, you need to remove all those excuses, right? You don't need to have a job at hand before you start doing all these things. I'll quiz run away like the way Judith ran away. Judith, they are throwing shot at you. Right. Another thing is what? Continuous learning and growth. This is the last thing that I'll talk about. Continuous learning and growth. Right. I've been doing design for what? Since 2013. 2013 is what? 11 years. About 11 years. And I'm still learning. Right. And I'm still learning. Last 2 months, I bought a course. The course was almost 8,000 cities. And I'm still learning. After I finish this course, I'll do another course, right? And I'll do another one, and I'm still learning. The fact that you've done this a long time doesn't mean, oh, you have reached, so you will not be learning again, right? The fact that you think, oh, you are the best in your class doesn't mean you don't need to learn again. Every day is something. There's something available every day for you to learn. Right. Recently, I picked up React, and it's been less than a year since I picked up React, and I've built almost 10 things with it just because I want to learn how to do the thing properly. Right. Don't give like yourself chance to be lazy. You need to learn. You need to learn. Hey, but they say you're lying, oh. Right. Always be curious. Right. So, for instance, for the software engineers that are here, there are sometimes that you join a company and you say, oh, media, I write JavaScript. Or let's say Vue. Oh, you say, oh, media, I write Vue.js. And then there'll be a project that comes, and also the project is in Rails. Or the project is in, let's use Rails. Those, oh, the project is Ruby on Rails. And you are like, oh, I write I write Vue.js, so I'll not, way no. Do you think it's something that would be a nice picture that right? You need to, the fact that you write one particular language doesn't mean you shouldn't be able to learn the other. But I know programmers who joined companies they say, oh, they are no JS devs. By 2-3 weeks, they were writing C++. Right. By 2-3, they were writing C++, and they were writing some other language that they didn't even come to the company for. Right. Because you have to always be learning. You have to always have the zeal to do a new thing, because you don't know when closure and your cover right, you don't know when you'll be required to do things outside the particular skill set that you started with, right? So you always need to be learning, always need to have an open mind. And last thing I'll say is patience, right? The job market, patience is needed a lot because it's a very tough market. Even for those who have jobs already, even them, they need patience, because like the way somebody's boss is scolding them in public, you need patience for that, right? Like the way somebody's pregnant boss is also not agreeing with them. You need patience. Otherwise, you go and say something and then it will become fight, right? Everybody needs patience. You need patience to learn, because the fact that Derrick is saying you should learn plenty things doesn't mean it is going to come easy to you. It's going to be difficult, right? It's going to be difficult. So you need patience for yourself so that you be like, okay, this is something that will take some time to understand. Then you have patience on yourself, and then patience. Right. You need patience for your growth. You need patience for your learning and all that. Right. I won't say all of these are like exhaustive, right? There are still things that you need to do in order to prepare yourself for a job, right? These are just some of the few things from my opinion. These are some of the few things from my opinion that I think would help you be in a better position to land jobs that you want. Right. These are not everything. There are some other people who experience different things. Right. But these are things I think if you do, it puts you in a better position to get some roles that you want, right? And yeah, thank you very much for listening to me. And if you have any questions,
All right,
please
guys,
let me know.
you can ask your questions now. So go ahead, please, if you have any questions. We are waiting for your questions. No questions? Monica, please go ahead.
Okay, so please, I wanted to ask about how you feel like let me say how you feel about imposter syndromes. Have you
About
ever had
imposter
an
syndrome.
experience? Yes, and how are you able to like overcome it?
Yeah, imposter syndrome. It's one thing that happens to everybody, right? If for those who don't know what imposter syndrome is, it's when you encounter a challenge and then you start doubting yourself, right? You start doubting your abilities and you start feeling like a fraud. You start feeling like an imposter, right? So, okay. So, how do I deal with imposter syndrome? I've had imposter syndrome happen a few times. Thankfully, it does not happen recently, but it has happened heavily a few times. How I handled it was just to learn more, right? Because there are sometimes that people will say that imposter syndrome, once it happens, or go for a walk or rest, go and do exercise. Actually, those things have not worked for me, right? What has worked for me is to look at the challenge that is making me feel that imposter syndrome and then asking myself, what can I learn to make sure that I'm confident enough to tackle this? Because a lot of the time, the imposter syndrome comes from lack of information about what you want to do. Let me explain. So let's say you encounter a huge problem and then you start feeling this imposter syndrome. The imposter syndrome is from the uncertainty that, oh, can I do this? That's an uncertainty. Is this something I can do? But then how do you get more, how does information or more information help you with this? You now digging deeper into, okay, what's this problem about? Is this the first time this problem has happened? Oh, it didn't happen. This is not the first time. Okay. What happened in the first time? Oh, the first time they did X, Y, and Z. Oh, okay, they did this and this. Is this problem slightly different from the one that happened the first time? Oh, yeah, it's slightly different. What changed? Oh, maybe this variable is different. Oh, okay. So the last people, they did it like this. They did like this. Okay, so I can do this, and this. Right. So the more you break down the problem, it becomes smaller to you. And the more it becomes smaller, you realize that, this is not even as big as I was thinking of it to be. Oh, okay, let me try my hands on it. Do you understand? So when you break it, that's how I break this out in my mind. So when you break it down to smaller bits, it becomes manageable. And once it becomes manageable, you realize that, oh, this thing I was even scared of, right? So once you break it down into things that you are more familiar with, once you break it down into things that are like sizable, it becomes better for you, right? So for me, I've realized anytime I have imposter syndrome, it's largely due to a lack of information or inadequate information about what I need to do. We learn inside the employers know they bring job. We'll talk about this. Right. So a lot of it is lack of information. Lack of information about the problem that you are trying to solve. Also, lack of information about your own skill. Right. That's another thing that we do not take into consideration. Our skill. You've solved a lot of problems. Why is it that this one, you are saying, oh, imposter syndrome? It's because you've not sat down to reflect on your growth. You've not sat down to reflect on how you've moved from point A to point B, how you've grown in the ranks. Right. Once you start doing that, you're like, oh, nah, I have faith in myself. Like, I've solved this problem, solved this problem. Is it this problem that will stress me? And then you go on to break it down, like I mentioned in the beginning. And then, yeah, that's how I handle it on my end. Because all the take a walk, drink a glass of water, go and take a shower, those things they don't work for me. But once I break down a problem, once I reflect on it, once I ask a lot of questions, I start getting clarity. And then after a few hours or a few days, I move as normal. So this is what works for me, Derrick. Right. Um,
Okay, thank you.
you are welcome. Have you been answered? Did you understand what I said, or I confused you more?
Oh, yes, I understand.
Okay. Thank you very much.
And
Uh, yeah.
how can we connect to you? Like,
How do you do what?
connect with you? Like,
With me. I'm a difficult person to connect with, but let me. I'll drop my social media on the side, so that I'll try. Um, let me see.
okay,
Yeah, UXDerry.com. So this is my website, twitter.com/UXDerrick. This is my Twitter, and linkedin.com/industry. Okay, this is my LinkedIn. Okay, cool. Yeah, so yeah, just you can DM me. I'll try to respond.
okay.
All right. Okay. So any other questions?
I think I will go. Is that I will go about it? We learn sign employers know they bring job. Charlie, this one there is true. I agree with, like, I understand what you're saying. That's why that's where the personal projects come to play. All right. If they are not bringing a job, you send their work to them. If they're not bringing the job, you send their work to them. Because Charlie, it's hard. The job market, it's hard. Down, they won't lie to you. I won't come and sit here and then tell you sweet things. It is hard. Right. But then people have made it through the hard job market. So it means other people can make it. Right. So right. So get a team. If it's something that you've not done or something that you are thinking of, get a team, build something, disturb people with it. Get a team, build something, disturb people with it. All you need to build something is one designer, one front end, one back end. That's all. Right. And I'm not saying this will work 100%, but it is going to work a bit. Right. Now, me, because I've learned how to code myself, I design myself, I can sit down one weekend and build, and I build, and I push. Right. If it's something you can do that a lot of times. Something will click. Do that a lot of times, something will click. Right. Hunger, they kill you. If for then I'll say they're hungry. You people should send them some food. I'll say you see them
Okay.
taking all their jobs.
All right. So are there any final questions? We have just one or two. There's someone who needs some service, people to do service with him. Yes, there's a CEO here. There's someone who also want to touch just 2-3 minutes on something. So I want to know, do we still have any question? Please, I have a question. Please go ahead. Can you unmute and speak, or just
Okay,
drop your question very fast? All right.
okay. Let me ask this question. I want to ask this question in a brief way. If I'm working with a boss, and then let's say you want to bring up a new idea on board, and then your boss is disagreeing with you that the idea you are bringing on board, for him or her, that thing is not something that she's comfortable with, and then you think that, oh, that idea that you are bringing on board is going to help the organization, to take or mount on with the new ship. What are you going to do if your board is not concerned with you or agree with you? what are some of the things that you have to do? Is it that you still have to push the agenda, or you have to plan a different way? I don't know if they can help me with it. Maybe if you understand the question very well, like your boss with you on
Yeah.
certain ideas you brought up on the table, and it's going to help the organization, and it's still the person disagree with you that, oh, this I don't think we need it at this moment, or some stuff, but you think that one too is going to help the organization. So how in this case, how are you going to go by it?
Yeah, so this is something you'd come across a lot of time when you are working with a team. And the key thing about this is understand the person your boss is, right? Understand the type of person your boss is. A lot of stakeholders, they like data, right? A lot of stakeholders like data. No matter what level they are in, they like data. What do I mean by data? They like you telling them how whatever you are saying is going to impact their business. Right. A lot of people have ideas, but not a lot of people can back their ideas with data. So if you come and tell me that, oh, let's start selling plantain because, oh, plantain is good. Oh, plantain, there you get money. Oh. That's just an idea. Right. But in order to get stakeholders, so when I mean stakeholders, I don't mean just your boss. I mean your boss, even people are like above him or her or your teammates, stakeholders. A lot of them would better resonate or will better understand when you bring data into play. So I'm not saying you go and do a whole chapter 1 to chapter 5 research and bring it, right? But then before you propose an idea, or when you propose an idea and then you get pushback on the idea, let them see the data part of things. Let them know that you've actually done your homework on the idea. Right. And once they realize that, okay, oh, this person has already spent some time doing some research on the idea, they'll be more likely to listen to you. Because if the reason for that is, if the idea was bad, why would you spend a lot of time doing research on it? You understand? So, for instance, you have an idea about what can I say? That if we give Awuku 1 bag of rice, the company will get $1 million the next month. Right. You don't just go to your boss and tell your boss that, oh, I have an idea, let's give Awuku 1 bag of rice, and this is they're going to ask you what I'm talking about. But then you go to them and tell them, oh, I have an idea, right, of giving Awuku 1 bag of rice. And the reason I have this idea is because I saw that Standard Chartered gave Awuku 1 bag of rice in January, and by February they had 1 bag of rice. And I went to ask them how come they had this. And then they told me, oh, because they had this, and they gave Awuku 1 bag of rice. And oh, I went to another company, Barclays, and Barclays told me that they gave Awuku 1 bag of rice. And I realized that even Frytol last week, they gave Awuku 1 bag of rice. And the data is pointing that if you do X, Y, and Z, we are going to do this. And I thought about it, and I'm like, we have 2 bags of rice in our company. Why can't you just give one to Awuku? Like, do you get an analogy I'm painting? I didn't just go there with the idea. I went with the idea and then backed it with data and backed it with some observations I've made. You understand? So a lot of stakeholders resonate more with data because stakeholders are always making decisions based on data or making tough decisions. And the best way to get their buy-in, or the best way to get them to agree with you, is to make it easy for them to make their decision. Right. A lot of this secret, I don't think it's a secret, but a lot of the time stakeholders disagree with people because they don't want to spend time thinking about whether you are correct or wrong, because they have a lot of things to do. But then if you go to them and make their decision easy, and then give them all the data, or give them all the things that will help them make a decision faster, they are more likely to listen to you and side with you, because now you are not telling them to go and think. You're not giving them homework. But if you just go and tell them, let's do this, and this, like you are giving them homework, let them go and research why it's important. You are leaving them to go and think about the solution themselves, which is a waste of their time, to be honest. But then when you go to them, that's how I have a lot of the decisions I've brought up, or a lot of suggestions, they end up getting done because I'll bring you full write-up. I'll bring you full write-up, a whole presentation. Right. So make it easy for them to make a decision. Right. Make it easy for them to decide. Make it faster for them to decide. Whatever prior research there is to do, try to do a bit of that research and then present them with a finding. Don't present them a 1,000-word essay. It can be just a 5 points, like bullet, 5 point slide. It can be even a call, a 30-second pitch to them. Oh, this is the idea. I think we should do this because this, and this. Now, the fact that you're also doing what I've said doesn't mean all your ideas are going to be accepted. Right? You should know that some bosses are there, they will not even listen to you. That's also a probability. You should also understand that sometimes the idea that you go and pitch to them is not really a good idea. That's also something that you should also have in the back of your mind. Right? So you can apply all the things I've said, and then you still go and they'll bounce you. You can also apply just 1% of what I've said, and then they'll accept it. So always have in the back of your mind that, okay, not all my ideas are going to be accepted. But then backing your ideas with data or backing your suggestions with data will increase your chances of them being accepted. Right? Is that understood?
Yes, I really understand what you're saying. But my last question is,
Mm.
if you go for an interview and then in the interview, the board asks you that how much salary do you expect us to give it to you? And
Mhm.
as let's say as a graduate or any graduate, now you have come to the market and you're looking for a job, and of a adventure or opportunity come on your way, and you went to an interview and they're asking you that how much are you expecting us to give it to you? So what are some of the responses that you have to give to the panels if such a question is asked you in an interview? They are just an interview panel asking all these questions. What are some of the questions that you have to give it to them? The answers you have to give it to them.
I'm like the worst person to ask this question because me, I like money. So the thing too is every industry has the range, right? Every industry has a range where you can ask questions, right? Let's say you can ask questions. Every has a range where the salary hovers around. So it's all forms part of the preparation of the interview, right? So as you're asking people what um questions to expect, you can also ask them what their first salary was, right? That should also give you an idea of what your first salary should be and what you should also ask, right? But for me, the advice I give to the people I mentor is you should be confident in the amounts that you mention. And then if it doesn't matter whether the amount is high or it is low, be confident and mention it, right? If you go into an interview and then they ask you, oh, how much do you want to take? And you're like, um, um, I think if you give me 500 CDs to 1,000 CDs, yeah, I think that will be good for me. The people interviewing you will see that, yeah, you are not really confident about it. You don't really have a figure in your mind, right? But then they ask you, oh, about salary, how much are you looking at? And you tell them, okay, I'm looking at around 2,500. Yeah, around 2,500 for the entry role. And then once you are confident about the amount of money that you want, they are more likely to take you serious because you didn't. It shows that you are prepared and it shows that you've done your homework on it. So even if they want to pay you lower, they can start the negotiations from there, right? But then if you are not confident in the amount of money you can mention, you most likely receive a lower offer because they've seen that, okay, you don't really have a strong hold on how much you want to make. So some people try to do that because they are afraid it will be more than the budget of the company. But then they forget that it is a negotiation. It's not like you've mentioned your figure and then they will accept it or they reject it outright. No, it's a negotiation. So ask around, like I don't know the individual roles that you people want to do, but then in whatever roles that you want to do, you want to work in, ask the people what was the first salary when you're starting out, how much did you make? Oh, okay, then you can place maybe a 10% um something because of inflation and all, place up 10% on it. And you're like, okay, cool, maybe this amount of money will be good. You go to an interview, they ask you, mention with confidence. Mention with confidence. If they can't pay, they'll tell you, oh, we can pay this. Or we can pay this. Right. I'll give you this example as I close. Then I there was this project and then they asked me how much I want. And I was like, I want $80,000 for the year. Right. When I said it confidently, right? But then my heart was beating because I know it's a lot of money. Right. But I said it confidently. I was like, yeah, I want $80,000. This. Then they were like, okay, cool. I thought the project would not come to me. Right. A few months later, they called me and they're like, oh, cool. They didn't even negotiate. Imagine I'm going to mention 20,000 or 10,000. They would have paid because their budget was way higher than that. You understand? So sometimes audacity. Sometimes the difference between somebody who earns low and somebody who earns high is audacity. Sometimes just have audacity. Like, yeah, I want. But also, whilst you're having audacity, look at the company that you're applying to. Right. If you are at Kojo Papa and Sons Company Limited, Kojo Papa and Sons Company cannot pay you like millions of cities. Right. Right. So sometimes look at the company you're applying to, and also just have the confidence. It's a negotiation. It's a negotiation. Yeah. Don't forget about Awuku. Awuku, you can mention 200,000. No, yes, not. Yeah. So about salary negotiation, right? Remember, it's a negotiation. Be confident about when you are pronouncing any figure, right? And then you can start your negotiations from there. If they can't pay, they'll tell you they can't pay, and then you negotiate, right? And what else? Talk to people who are within that job that you want to do and ask them for the salary they earned at the level that when they were at your level, and then you can start from there, right? Yeah. Any other questions?
No.
No. Okay. Cool.
Thank you so
Yeah.
much for the Auku. Thank you so much for your insightful session as well. We are so grateful to have you, and thank you. Yeah. So
Yeah. Thank you for
you want
everyone
to give
too.
us a final word, or you just want to end it?
Final word, yeah. The bottom is always crowded. When you are starting a marathon, the beginning is very crowded, right? When you watch Milo Marathon, or the Millennium Marathon, the beginning is very crowded, right? Everybody's at the beginning. It's very crowded. But then when you go and stand at the finish line, people start coming there one, right? People start coming there one, single. That's the same thing with your career, right? At the beginning, there are plenty people. But then when you get to the end, you see just very few people. And the few people will not be coming together. People will be coming one by one. That shows that at the beginning, all of you would have the same like career goals and the rest. But then everybody has their individual journey. And everybody will get to the end or get to their destination at different points in time. So don't look at somebody and feel discouraged and say that, oh, this person's way ahead of me. No, you might be comparing your 6-month experience to somebody's 20 years experience, right? You might be comparing your 6-month experience to somebody's 1 year experience. So just remember that everybody's running everybody's running the same race, but they're running different times, running different strengths and all that, different pieces. And always try to be curious, try to keep on learning and the rest. And yeah, it's Ebefa. All right. Thank you so much for also listening to me. It's been a pleasure. Yeah. You can send me a DM anytime and I'll try to respond.